covering the entire Piedmont Triad and everywhere you are. This is WXII 12 News at 5.
Right now on WXII 12 News at 5 o'clock, a lot to tell you about on this Monday, from the latest in a murder case in High Point involving teenage siblings and some breaking news out of Greensboro.
We'll have more on those stories in just a moment, but first, the weather. After luxuriating and comfortable temperatures over the weekend, better get ready for some Arctic air. Chief Meteorologist Laney Pope is standing by with the latest.
Yeah, we've got Arctic air on the way. This only happens a few times in the winter season. This one is coming on early. Temperatures out there right now are already 10 degrees below normal, but we have got some very cold air heading our way. You take a look at where the numbers are in the teens and 20s out over the Dakotas, even into parts of Iowa, northern Chicago right now, with temperatures that are well below freezing. And look at the snow that is with this weather system as well. That heart of the cold air is going to start to pour in during the day tomorrow. Now, as far as winter weather chances, the only areas that have any kind of winter weather advisories up are over eastern Kentucky, southern Ohio, and parts of West Virginia. So in our area, no advisories, but the potential that there could be at least a few snowflakes, especially north and west. Big story for us is going to be falling temperatures that will be falling throughout the day tomorrow. Gusty north winds at times up to 30 miles an hour, making wind chill values in the teens and 20s as we head into tomorrow. We are going to see a little bit of light rain out there, and it could end as a little bit of snow. Now, it will not be here tonight or even early tomorrow morning. Our temperatures are actually fairly mild as we start the day, upper 30s, close to 40, but I'll have more on the cold air and our chances for snow. Who may actually see some on the ground coming up.
We're following breaking news out of Greensboro tonight.
Police are on the scene of a shooting on Ross Avenue off of O. Henry Boulevard. Our David Janot is live at the scene right now to bring us the latest details. David?
Yeah, there are about a dozen cars right now on this scene and yellow police tape blocking off the area of 830 Ross Avenue and Bennett Street. The call came around 3:15 and police finally were able to enter the house at around 3:45. That's when they decided to call for detectives. When we got onto this scene, we saw K9 sniffing around, possibly looking for evidence, and we saw two EMS trucks that have since left the scene. And since we got here again, we saw CSI trucks waiting to come onto the scene, and they got on at about 4:40. Now, again, reports of this shooting here in Greensboro. We don't know if there are any victims. We have no reports of any suspects. All we do know right now is that there was a shooting, and Greensboro police are still investigating. So stick with WXII 12 News for the latest. Reporting live in Greensboro, I'm David Janot. Back to you.
Police say a fight between siblings took a deadly turn over the weekend, and tonight a 14-year-old girl is charged with murder.
Investigators were called to a home on Brentwood Street overnight on Sunday in High Point. That's where they found the body of the 16-year-old victim. Our Veronica White is live outside the High Point Police Department with the very latest details. Veronica?
Well, Cam and Wanda, High Point police tell us that the 14-year-old girl, whose name is not allowed to be released, is being charged in the stabbing death of her 16-year-old brother. And we spoke with some friends of the victim today that they say that it doesn't appear that the two had a bad relationship. Now, police got the assault call Sunday morning from an apartment on Brentwood Street, and when they arrived, they found Takir Martin unresponsive, lying on the floor. EMS took him to the hospital. He was pronounced dead, and police say that other people were in the apartment at the time. We know it was one of them that called, but we don't know if or how they're related to the teens. Police didn't get any calls from neighbors, and they say that it was one stab wound. It seems to have stemmed from an argument that the two were having, and police say the girl has no previous criminal history, and it's sad that the second homicide of the year involved teenagers. Friends of the victim say they can't believe it. Neither teen appeared to be violent.
He was a best friend of mine. We used to wrestle, play around, play football. He was a nice guy, and he wasn't really violent. It was a complete shock because they only argued once.
It's tragic. It's shocking. It's something we're not used to dealing with, thankfully, and it's hard to explain.
And the suspect is being charged with first-degree murder. She's being held in the Juvenile Detention Center. In High Point, I'm Veronica White, WXII 12 News.
Thank you, Veronica. And we're told that the district attorney's office will decide if that case is going to remain in juvenile court. Well, the search is on tonight for the man and the woman who attacked an elderly man in his home. Authorities say this happened Friday night at a home on Westfield Road in the Bannertown community. The 80-year-old victim tells police that he answered a knock at the door from a woman asking for directions. Authorities say she then pepper sprayed the victim, and then she and a man made their way into the house. The victim was tied up, and the pair ransacked his home. He was eventually able to get loose and call 911.
They are true American heroes, and today on Veterans Day, 15 North Carolina World War II servicemen were recognized for their bravery in battle, given France's highest honor. Bill O'Neill has a story all new at 5 o'clock.
Nearly 70 years after the fact, many of these men actually served on D-Day, and several of them right here in the Piedmont Triad.
You helped with the D-Day invasion of Normandy. Amidst all the chaos.
A Veterans Day to remember.
Whose broad stripes and bright stars.
Alfred Hall, an Army vet from Mount Airy. James Kivett, a Navy vet from Greensboro. And Bob Beroff, a Navy vet from Winston-Salem, are among 15 veterans to receive the French Legion of Honor, helping to liberate France during World War II.
It's a great honor. I feel like there's a lot of men out there that deserve it more than I do.
And was hit by a German twin-engine bomber, destroyed. 17 of my crew were casualties immediately.
What does this mean for you to receive this honor?
Well, it means a lot of old memories, for one thing.
The Legion of Honor is France's highest honor, created by Napoleon Bonaparte more than 200 years ago. An honor not only for the veterans receiving it, but also for their families.
Well, we're proud of him for many, many reasons. You know, he's been a wonderful father and inspiration, and you know, we're just glad to see them recognize the veterans. And
in Charlotte, Bill O'Neill, back to you.
The French government decided several years ago to begin honoring every veteran who fought to help liberate France during the Second World War.
And all across the Piedmont Triad, hundreds of people took time to honor our nation's veterans on this day. In Stokes County, there was a dedication to a veterans memorial site at King Central Park. It was accompanied by music from the West Stokes High School Band. One local veteran we talked to says he is amazed by the crowd that came out.
As we pulled into the parking lot, there's about 15 of us out here to help with the program of the Legionnaires. And we just noticed that every year it gets bigger, and it just makes us really feel good that every year we do this, that more people are recognizing the veterans.
And veterans from all branches of the military were honored today.
The numbers are unimaginable. The Associated Press says more than 10,000 people were killed by a weekend typhoon in the Philippines. Now, to put that number into perspective, that's the number of residents in Elgin and King combined, according to Google. Well, tonight, there's a local push to help the victims of the natural disaster in the Pacific. Margaret Johnson is live in the newsroom with more on how you can help. Margot.
Well, good evening to you, Wanda. One of the groups that is reaching out tonight is the Jesus Our Victory Family Worship Center in Greensboro. Now, this typhoon has left the small Filipino congregation heartbroken. Members are asking for financial donations to help their loved ones who have lost everything. Tonight, we're hearing from Imelda Relaford. She has sisters, brothers, nieces, and nephews in Tacloban City, one area nearly flattened by the typhoon. Imelda grew up there, and after seeing the terrifying pictures, she told me she spent the last few days scared to death because she didn't know if her family was dead or alive. Then finally this morning on her computer, praying to hear from anyone there, her brother reached out on Facebook telling her they're all alive. Imelda broke down in tears.
My heart just started kind of like, I feel like I want to pass out. Because I grew up in this town. I grew up in this town, and this is the first time it's happened. And I thought that I'm not gonna see them anymore. Yeah, and I thought that all my siblings are gonna be, you know, they're all gonna be no longer in this world.
Now, if you want to know how to help the folks in the Philippines, here are two numbers to call. The Jesus of Our Victory in Greensboro, here's that number, 303-1564, or the American Red Cross at 1-800-733-27677. Now, Imelda told me that her family needs to get to a safe place because there's such a shortage of food and supplies that people have turned to violence to get what they need. Back to you.
A lot of desperation there. Thanks a lot, Margot. Well, tomorrow, closing arguments will begin in the capital murder trial of Robert Dixon. Last week, the defense rested after Dixon spent days on the stand testifying in his own defense. The Alamance County man is accused of hiring 2 men to kill his stepmother in 2007. If the jury finds him guilty, Dixon could face the death penalty. Police in Lexington are looking for the man behind a robbery at a Rite Aid pharmacy. These surveillance photos were just released to WXII 12 News of the suspect. We're told he walked into the Rite Aid on Highway 64 yesterday and demanded money from the cashier. No one was hurt. If you recognize him, give Lexington Crime Stoppers a call. That number is 243-2400.
New at 5 o'clock tonight, the Caswell County Board of Education has decided to part ways with Superintendent Dr. Renee Franklin. Last month, Dr. Franklin was placed on administrative leave with pay for reasons not revealed to the media. The school board says it voted last week to buy out her contract and accept her resignation. Dr. Franklin was hired in February and started work on July 1st. The NTSB now says a pilot was disoriented when he crashed his plane in Davidson County, killing him and a female passenger. That crash happened on March 2nd of 2012. Officials say that 51-year-old Steve Bound was flying in marginal weather conditions with heavy fog. The 4-seat Cessna 350 crashed into High Rock Lake shortly after taking off. Bound and 47-year-old Karen Martin were both killed.
New video out of High Point tonight where firefighters needed some help with a brush fire that was out of control at one point. Firefighters are calling the fire on Abbey Avenue a one-alarmer that threatened a building on nearby Townsend Avenue. That fire is back under control tonight. In Commitment 2014 news, a Triad radio host says he's running for the U.S. Senate. Bill Flynn announced yesterday he's seeking the Republican nomination for the U.S. Senate seat currently held by Democrat Kay Hagan. In a video posted on YouTube, Flynn told a crowd at Triad Park in Kernersville that he's running. Flynn hosts a morning show on an AM radio station. The recount for the District 1 Greensboro City Council seat will take place tomorrow. Councilmember-elect Sharon Hightower defeated longtime incumbent T. Diane Bellamy Small last week by just 15 votes.
Well, tonight we are asking the question, who is handling your money? Coming up on WXII 12 News at 5, you might be surprised at what our Bill O'Neill uncovered in a WXII 12 News investigation.
And at 5:30 on this Veterans Day, we are going aboard the USS North Carolina.
And we're about to go a little bit lower.
We're going lower. We're taking you to part of the ship that really the public doesn't get to see.
There's a serious accident that's causing some closures on a local Triad highway. I'll show you exactly where when we come right back.